Hi and welcome to Masterclass episode 6, how improved staff retention can beat the Chancellor's budget blues. The impact of the October budget has now been widely discussed. Tim Martin from Wetherspoon said this week that he expected his business costs to increase by £60 million over the tax year, with similar stories from major operators. This is a combination of employer national insurance rises, minimum wage and business rates increases. But what's the story for smaller businesses? Well, in my case, the Old Bank Steakhouse in Brighton, which I sold last year to focus on hospitality blueprints, presents a hopefully interesting study. The impact of the minimum wage increase at 6.7% and the increase in national insurance will add a further 4%. In my case, business rates would have more than doubled to £15,000, representing 3% of the restaurant's turnover, up from 1.5%. So this is a total increase of 12.45% or £24,000 a year. In my case, profit was just more than this, and therefore in certain months we'd be trading at a loss. So I would need to find at least £24,000. Measures that employers are considering include cutting back on trading hours, reducing headcount, scaling back recruitment, and increasing prices. Of these four, two would have a direct impact on the quality of service given to guests, and two would manage demand. Already, Caterer magazine has reported a rise in the unemployed in the catering industry in the 3 months to September. Price increases are the simplest solution, but in my case it would require something like an 8.5% to 10% increase, which is too much. 3-4% perhaps, but not 8.5 to 10%. In the last year we've seen prices at Nando's up by 20%, Wagamama's up by 24%, and Bill's with an increase of 26%. And all of this before the cost increases coming in April. So we need to look beyond price rises. Let's look at recruitment. The impact of recruitment costs on restaurants is significant, and according to UK Hospitality, each new entrant adds £2,500 to a typical restaurant's costs. Plus, the departure of an experienced employee and the addition of a new team member has the effect of reducing the overall efficiency of the team until the newcomer attains the same level of efficiency as his or her more experienced colleagues. The Department of Employment stats show that there are 107,000 vacancies in the restaurant industry, and that the average level of turnover is the highest of any industry in the UK at an average of 35% per annum, and that increases in the fast food area, for example. So if a restaurant has a staff of 12, as mine did, this would mean recruiting 4 people a year at a cost of £10,000. Eliminating this cost alone would offset the increase in business rates. A modest improvement in productivity could easily cover the outstanding £14,000. In my case, that would be equivalent to just 3% of turnover. That improvement would be achieved by enhanced staff retention, which would produce a more efficient, productive team with high morale. In my opinion, the key to retention is best summed up in the acronym CRAM, where C is for caring, R is for recognition, and M is for money. Now, money is a prime motivator for anyone taking on a job, and I believe it's important you offer more than the national minimum wage. In my case, we paid £3 an hour more as basic pay, and this was topped up with a further £2 to £4 from the service charge. Also, I employed a technique which I developed for clients in my business blueprints consultancy, and I called it team planning, TP. This involved forecasting covers by day of week and time of day to allow me to allocate staff hours efficiently. So, although paying significantly more than the minimum wage, our labour percentage was rarely more than 25%, well below the industry average. Recognition is important to keep people motivated, and by that I mean a continuous programme of sales and service-based incentives, together with regular, ideally quarterly, appraisals, where employees are asked their views, given feedback on their performance, and given the opportunities to develop other skills through training. Finally, caring. This allows staff to have flexible hours to create a healthy work-life balance, and benefits like private health care, both for physical and mental issues, were provided, and that only cost about £8 a month per person. Other little things like giving a day off every year for a special event is highly motivating and demonstrates a high level of care. The notion of employee well-being and development has become mainstream, and it's a far cry from my early days in the world of hospitality, where staff is seen as a mainly expendable resource, easily recruited and as easily replaced. The Caterer magazine is energetically supporting this notion with their Catering People Awards programme, which this week singled out a bunch of organisations for recognition. So yes, hiking up prices is one way to respond to the Chancellor's changes, but there are alternatives available that not only protect your business from unaffordable increases in prices, but also motivate your staff to be productive and happy in their work. So yes, I would probably have put prices up by 2 or 3%, maybe adding about 50p to a main course, but I would rely more on retention for better productivity and better sales. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this little session. If you've got any points you'd like to raise with me, please send me an email or drop me a text or a WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to answer it. Otherwise, thanks again for listening, and I look forward to seeing you all again in episode 7. Bye bye.